Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Welcome to Faith in Your Recovery. We've got something very special for you here today. If I've ever used that word or overused the word special, indeed, this more than fits. So give us an opportunity to share this with you. Tune in, turn on, get a hold of one of your friends. Today we're doing something we don't believe has ever been done before. We're involved with Jailhouse Recovery. Let me explain what Jailhouse Recovery is all about. We're here at the Jay County Security Center / jail, as you choose to call it, and we're going to be speaking with some of the inmates of the struggles they've had with their addictions. We're not trying to get into their case. We're not trying to prove anybody guilty or innocent. They have volunteered to be a part of this, to share their experience, their struggles, their victories, their hopes, their plans, their ways of moving beyond that. The sheriff here at the Jay County Jail, Sheriff Ray Newton, has been more than cooperative and supportive of this. His entire staff as well, because it's certainly an inconvenience to them. So we look forward to this. We don't claim to have all the answers. We don't even know the questions. But if we can touch on something today that makes a difference in your life, that helps you through your recovery, or allows you to help a loved one through their recovery, that's what it's all about. This is our first episode, part 1 of Jailhouse Recovery. Our guest today is Kyle Baker. Welcome, Kyle.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. Kyle, we want to hear about your story. We want to hear what your struggles have been with addiction, how that's played out, issues it's created, and the ways you're trying to move above that. I know you're a regular attendee in our class that we have every Thursday here at the jail. When I come in and get to share with you guys, always get a lot of support there, a lot of respect. I appreciate that. Thank you for being a part of it. So, Kyle, tell us, when did it all begin for you? How long have you battled addiction? Go back to that beginning, to the best of your abilities.
Well, I dated a girl. I started dating her in 2012, and
how old were you at that time?
I'd have been 22.
Okay.
And we dated for almost 3 years, and when we broke up, that's when my addiction battle started. I couldn't find nothing that would get rid of the pain, and I started using meth, and that was about the only thing that it would numb it for a little while. It wouldn't get rid of it, but it would, just for a little while, it would be gone.
So obviously that was a hard breakup for you.
Right.
Yeah. So you're hunting for a way to kill, to numb that pain, and you turn to meth to do that.
Right.
Did you have any trouble finding the meth? Why was it your drug of choice at that time? Availability, through friends? What's the case?
Well, it wasn't very hard to find. I had a couple friends that I knew had used it. I tried drinking and smoking weed, but nothing would really do it. And then I did that first line of meth, and it was, for an hour or two, it was gone.
Okay. So let's move on from there. What continued to hold you into that?
Well, I figured after I'd get over the girl that I could put it down.
Yeah.
But anything else in my life, because I've smoked weed, I've drank, and I've always been able to do it and had a little fun and then never think about it again. But the meth, it got a hold of me, and I just couldn't let it go.
That's not the first time we've heard that story, and I don't say that in a demeaning way.
Right.
I just mean I've heard that enough to know once it's got that grip on you, It holds on for dear life.
Definitely, yeah, because the memory of the girl, it faded, but the want for that drug didn't.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have folks around you trying to help you, or was it more of those wanting you to party with them? What did your life look like at that point?
Well, my dad, he's always been a big influence in my life. He's always tried to keep me straight, but I ran with the wrong crowd, and one of my best friends about the same time started using it too, and it just stemmed from there.
I know that old adage of the people, places, and things
Right.
plays a major role in this. Hey, folks, I want to make a quick plug here. We want you to know, as you can tell, this is live. We welcome your comments. We welcome your questions. Do it across YouTube, across our Facebook, any way you can get it in. We want to try to address that. Tell us how the decline looked. What took you to your darkest moment, your darkest experience, the most painful of times during the addiction?
That's easy. There was a night I hadn't been working, and I was struggling to find a fix, and one of my nieces' piggy banks was sitting there, and I went and I stole all the quarters out of it and went out to the barn and got my dad's Harley and pulled the fuel line off of it and got some gas in a jug, just enough to make it to town. And he later found out his Harley was empty on gas, and that's probably the darkest moment of my addiction.
You say that's the darkest moment, is it because of the shame of what you had stooped to?
Yeah, when taking that money out of the piggy bank, really, it was hard to deal with.
I'm picturing that. Yeah. And to have enough sense to still know this isn't right.
Right.
And you just keep digging for the next penny because
Right.
that addiction's calling your name,
Yep.
calling you into the darkness and into the hole.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the biggest lie you told yourself during that time, Kyle?
Probably that eventually I'll just be able to quit, and knowing in the back of my mind that I'm going to still go get that next fix. But
What was your first lights on moment that
Well-
you truly believed I can beat this? It's not a matter of waiting.
Well, I had gotten back into coon hunting, and I had used to coon hunt with my grandpa when I was a little boy. And one of my buddies that he didn't do drugs, had a coon dog. So we were hunting one night, and he was asking me about God and if I'd ever be interested to go to church. And I was kind of hesitant. And he's like, well, what if you would go coon hunting with a pastor that's got a coon dog? And I was like, all right. So we went one night, and he invited me to a Sunday school. I went, and then one night I was going to pick up my coon dog to go hunting. I went and picked him up, but instead of going to the woods, I drove to the church.
I'm sitting here chuckling, not in mockery of you, but I'm seeing this pastor with a coon dog.
Yeah.
That was never in my realm of interest, okay? There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. It's
Right.
all good.
Right.
And it's crazy how God uses different tools to reach different people.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you right here, right now. I've never thought of him using a coon dog,
Right.
all right?
Yep.
But obviously it impacted you, it made it change. So what was your next positive step?
Well, I've always loved music, and there was a Christian rapper that I had been listening to, and just his lyrics spoke to me. And I thought, if this guy can do it, then I can do it too. And I got out a sheet of paper, and I started writing lyrics, and I didn't even have to memorize it. It was burned into my mind. And so to this day, I can recite that verse verbatim.
Will you go ahead and do that for us?
Sure.
First off, let me go back a moment, but make sure you remind me. I
Okay.
want to hear that.
Okay.
Who was that rapper?
It was KB.
Okay, folks, we want to let you know September 7th, we're going to have some Christian hip-hop artists, Christian rappers at the Jake Hanley High School auditorium that evening from 5 to 7:30. names like Kalichi, Joe Nestor, Mallory B., Clean Slate Music, Redeemed. There's going to be others. So come join us. Now, let's go back. Give us that verse that you wrote, please.
It starts with a little scripture. It's, greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. And each day when I see the sun that shines, I think about the words here in my mind and this life that I live. Because all I really want to do is give, but it just seems that the more I give, the more is taken. I'm glad I finally found the day that I did awaken from the daydream I was living in. Most of the time it felt like I was giving in to the one that they call Satan. He's always cleverly awaiting for the day that you'll start slipping up. But guess what? This life I got, I ain't giving it up, because through the mist of it all, through the darkness there is light. Don't deny the sun. His name is Jesus Christ.
Wow. I've got chills listening to that, okay, and about ready to raise my hands. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Do you still play around with writing lyrics,
Yeah.
rap lyrics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a couple videos on YouTube.
Okay. Is that some of what you do as your therapy while you're
Yes.
incarcerated here?
Yeah, I wrote a few verses while I've been in here this time.
Okay, now I've got a question for you that's a little bit out of the addiction realm, but it's a question I know a lot of people have asked during my years as a minister. And if you choose not to answer, you have that right, okay? How does a Christian end up in jail?
Well, I had been working in Fort Recovery. I had got a new job. I was working at Fort Recovery Industries, and I didn't know my license was suspended, and I didn't know the area, and I ran a stop sign and got T-boned and got driving while suspended.
Okay, so what's wrong is wrong. We're not debating that.
Right.
But this is not, hopefully nobody was injured in that accident.
They weren't.
It's not strong criminality
Right.
in my book,
Right.
okay? I get the need to do what they did. I
Right.
understand. It sounds like you've accepted that.
Yeah.
And part of the answer to that question could have easily been your Christianity and the timing of everything all play into it.
Right.
And I'm going back to that coon dog again.
Yeah.
I'm going back to you writing lyrics before you said they were rap.
Right.
I'm expecting a country song to come out of you, all right?
Right.
About the guy with his truck and his coon dog.
I've got some coon dog lyrics too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of your favorite coon dog?
Well, that'd be easy. His money made razor blade. He's right here on my arm.
Money made razor blade.
Yeah, I've got a litter of pups on the way. His first litter of pups coming.
Okay. So where do you see you going from here, Kyle? What are some of life's plans? What's your strategy to move forward in life?
Well, I would like to start a coon dog supply and sell pups and different kind of things. Maybe get an arms license and start selling maybe some weapons and stuff, because luckily I'm not a felon, so.
You've still got that open possibility
Right.
because of that.
Right.
Yeah. What do you see as being the break that's going to move you forward to become the Kyle you've been created to be?
Probably it would be really cool if I could make music.
All right, that'd be a nice option B, yeah?
Right.
Yeah, cool. So your strategy, your plans, you've got goals here.
Right.
What do you see as your greatest need in life now? How are you with family and friends? Have you been able to rebuild those bridges from the addiction days? How long have you been clean?
I've been clean since 2020.
Congratulations.
And I've rebuilt the relationship with my dad. He, when I get out, he told me I could have my old bedroom back. And I'm a carpenter by trade, and my best friend, I met him actually, it's funny how stuff works, at a coon hunt one night. It was the first time I'd ever judged the cast, and it was the first one he'd ever been in. And we became best friends, and he's never used drugs. He's never drank. He was raised Pentecostal, so.
All right, all right. Are you looking forward to getting back involved with church to?
Yeah, he's a youth leader at a local church, so
Nice.
I'm looking forward to the first service when I get out.
Well, you know what? You've always got to be careful with your people, places, and things,
Right.
especially after you come out of a place like this,
Right.
because you're hungry for so many different things, and you want to experience or re-experience so many different things.
Right.
But it sounds like you're making a good choice there, and that can be a build-up and something that creates a good future for you. What's one of the positive behaviors that you're employing while you're in here, Kyle?
Well, I've been reading the Bible, and I've been praying every night.
Nothing wrong with either one of those. I think they belong at the top of our list.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And I don't care which order that is right there.
Right.
So we keep that up. What is the advice you would want to give to those listening who are raising their own Kyle?
Just don't give up. There's somebody out there for you, and I mean that it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's heroin. It doesn't matter if it's meth. It doesn't matter if it's weed or just drinking. That you can overcome it. And there's always, the Bible says that for every bad thing, He'll give you an outlet for it. So
use it, but you've got to read it. You've got to do that simple research of knowing in order to be able to draw on that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So cool. Where do you see yourself? I know what you talk about. You want to get into the coon dog business
Right.
in one way or the other, obviously.
right.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Where would you like to be? Let me rephrase that.
I would like to be, because I run a crew for my stepdad. He's got a framing business, and I'm his foreman. I'd like to be buying a piece of land and building a house.
Nice. I've got a little construction background myself, so I remember those days.
Right.
It could get lean at times, or it could certainly
Right.
turn around in a hurry.
Definitely. Definitely.
It can be a blessing and a challenge along with all of life.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. What is it you want folks to know? Whether it's about recovery, whether it's about society, culture, what is it you want folks to know?
That recovery is real. And it can happen. You just have to work at it.
Repeat that again.
That recovery is real. That you just got to work the steps, and it's not hard to achieve if you really want it.
The word I like the best is work.
Yeah, you got it's definitely hard work, but
Yeah, but it's still a whole lot better result than where you were.
Definitely.
Have you ever desired to go back to addiction?
no.
I've never heard anybody answer yes.
Right.
Once they get out of it, it's not a place I want to go back there someday.
No, never.
Because they know the struggle of climbing out of that.
Right.
And the battle and the influence and the impact it has on your life and everything
Right.
with it. Do you see yourself when you get out of here as being able to give back? How would you give back to, those folks who knew you back then prior to 6 years ago or 2020?
Well, actually, the church where I attend, I should, I guess, mention this earlier. I preach, and I've did 3 sermons so far, so that would probably be the biggest way. And I would like to, within the church, start some kind of recovery program within and help anybody that needs it.
Well, I've got a chance here to sell you on one, okay? With a better life, Brianna's hope.
Definitely.
We'd be glad to talk with you and anybody from the church. And
Definitely.
if we can encourage you to make that happen,
That'd be awesome.
we'd be glad to be a part of that.
Definitely.
So, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. What's your biggest fear, Kyle, once you're back on the street?
Well, probably because I'm single, I don't have any kids. It would probably be another relationship like the one that spiraled me downward into the addiction. Maybe a girlfriend cheating on me or something like that. That's why I'm hesitant. I've been single since then.
Just any hit of trauma.
Right.
You know, it could come in so many ways, certainly through a broken relationship. But trauma, you know, we usually talk about trauma on those of a young age and some sort of abuse or abandonment or parents who were into addiction and they're struggling.
Right.
But trauma takes place at all ages. That's why they came up with that term of PTSD, that post-traumatic stress disorder. We often think about it and relate it to those in the military.
Right.
But it comes about that just the stresses of life and how we deal with them.
Definitely.
So, yeah. How many brothers and sisters you have, Kyle?
I have 2 younger brothers.
Okay. Are you in a good place with them?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm the only one that's ever been in an attic, though.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't want to be unfair to them, so be careful with your answer. But how have they dealt with your addiction? Have they continued to support? Has that wavered at times?
My youngest brother, not so much, but my older brother, he's only a year younger, and he's never really wavered. But my youngest brother, though, we've started to rebuild our relationship. So
Hooray. Stay at that. That's important for so many different reasons. Yeah. I'd already mentioned earlier how you're a steady attender each Thursday when I come in and we have our in-house meeting here of A Better Life, Brianna's Hope. What is it that brings you back the next week to that meeting, Kyle?
well, actually, in my hometown, Liberty, Indiana, I've attended some of those meetings there.
Scott Bell.
Yep.
I am going to fill in for Scott Bell in about 3 Sundays here.
Okay.
He's no longer at Liberty.
Okay.
He's at Spartansburg, and I can't think of the name of the other little town.
Okay.
I think the world of that man. He's a good guy.
3 Sundays from now,
Yeah, something. I'd have to look it
Okay.
up and see.
I'll make sure I'll be there.
Well, I'd like that. Yeah, yeah. So
I can do that verse for you at that meeting if you like.
I'd like that.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to one more time. We had a gal on here once that I can't think of what she called him. There was a guy on America's Got Talent who won it 3 years ago. It was poetry that he spoke, and it had such meaning to it. It wasn't just rhyme time.
Right.
It was poetry with depth concerning life in general.
Right.
I want the folks to hear your rap verse one more time here, because I think it,
Okay.
it'll preach, as they say.
Right.
Go ahead and share that with us.
All right. Greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. And each day when I see the sun that shines, I think about the words here in my mind and this life that I live. Because all I really want to do is give, but it just seems that the more I give, the more is taken. I'm glad I finally found the day that I did awaken from the daydream I was living in. Most of the time it felt like I was giving in to the one that they call Satan. He's always cleverly a way in for the day that you'll start slipping up. But guess what? This life I got, I ain't giving it up. Because through the mist of it all, through the darkness there was light. Don't deny the Son. His name is Jesus Christ.
Wow. I love that. No way I'm going to spit it back at you, but I love that. Thank you for sharing it again.
Yep.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say, or a question or anything, Kyle, before we shut this down?
Just anybody that is about to give up, just there is light. Through that darkness there is light. So
And I want to remind you folks again, Kyle, and I'm not going to do this with every guest we have, but Kyle's not in here because of drug issues at this time.
Yeah, I get released a week from Friday, week from today.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I hope to connect with you and
Definitely.
catch you in one of our meetings or more, all
Definitely.
right?
Yep.
Be an awesome opportunity. Well, listen, folks, hang in there. Hold on. Quickly. Go get something to drink and come back in because we're going to hit you with another guest. We've got about 6 or 7 hours to where you can binge yourself silly on all things recovery here at Jailhouse Recovery. You're going to hear from others. Hold on, listen in. Give us contact. Give us a call. Give us a comment. Thank you. Thank you too, Kyle.
Thank you.
God bless. Stay in the battle.
Yep.
Take care.
Yep.
Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Hey, thanks for joining us. You do not want to miss this segment. Hold on. This is good stuff. It's a privilege for us. It's something new, totally different than anything we've done in our 145 episodes, give or take. We are in the Jay County Security Center, the jail over here in Portland, Indiana. We've got several guests we're going to interview in this series we're calling Jailhouse Recovery. We're not here to prove innocence, guilt, anything else. We're here to make a difference in your life. And these guys, I believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, have those kind of answers that can impact and truly resonate because they've been there. They've done that. They've got the scars to prove it. Some of them are here from drug charges. Some of them have had their drug battles in the past. They've risen above that. They've found recovery. We're not going to get in a great deal to the case, but we want to know about their life, and they are more than willing to share that in a very bold way. We're not here to glorify drugs or the consequences of using them. Folks, we're just going to be raw, real, and honest. Our guest for this second part of Jailhouse Recovery is William Eli Alexander. Welcome, Eli.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, we look forward to hearing what you've got to say. Thank you for joining us. Let's go back early in life, okay? When was it that your drug issues began? It doesn't necessarily have to be the addiction. I don't know how it played out. Share it with us.
Well, it starts way when I was young. I suffered with ADHD growing up. I was I guess one of the first kids that my mom had to deal with having it. And I was 5 years old, and my mom didn't know how to deal with my hyperactiveness. So she was an avid pot smoker, and she would shotgun hits to me when I was 5 years old, and that kind of started it off.
So that ADHD, my wife was a teacher for 41 years of first graders, and we saw the impact that can have on a child. I don't know, if it's labeled psychosocial or if it's a disease, what it is, but I know it has a crazy impact and can make life very difficult. And when you're out of control, it's because you can't control it. The medication can help you, but you got to stay on that med. So, we'll kind of set that there. Okay, so your ADHD, how did that start to play out? What were your behaviors like?
Well, it started in kindergarten. I took my shoes off and put my head on the floor, and was talking to the teacher with my toes. And that's when the principal, vice principal, the counselor, everybody called my mom into the office and was like, we think he needs to go to therapy and figure out what's going on with him and stuff like that.
So did you go on to therapy?
Yes, for several years.
Okay, how'd that work? How'd you feel about that as a young person?
I didn't really understand what was going on. I was just more playing with toys in the room and stuff like that. And he would ask me questions here and there. They checked my hair and my fingers and stuff like that. I guess there's telltale signs and those matters right there that tell you if you have ADHD.
Okay, so you were under a lot of observation, it sounds like.
Yes.
And they're trying to put the pieces together, and I guess there are probably ranges of ADHD or styles of it.
Oh, and I was very severe.
Okay, you were the upper part of that
Yes.
list. How did that play out in your junior high years, those middle school times?
I was still always hyperactive. I was, I guess, the annoying kid in class. I was the class clown, always goofing off. I mean, I was really smart. I always had really good grades. It's just once I finished my work, I would start goofing off and playing around and getting in trouble and stuff like that.
Spare times are not always good for somebody with ADHD, and getting that homework done early was a sense of pride, but then you didn't know how to most productively and safely use that time.
Exactly.
Yeah? Okay. High school, what's it look like?
Oh, I was kicked out. I ended up having marijuana in my person, and the school caught me and kicked me out and sent me to an alternative school. And as soon as I got to the alternative school, they were like, "We don't think you need to be here." And they got me. I got my GED when I was 16 and started working.
Okay. Was there anything other than marijuana at that age?
I started using meth when I was 14. That's when I came in contact with my father, because my mom kept telling me that I have a bunch of brothers and sisters. I have actually 18 brothers and sisters from my father. And he came into my life and met him, and he pretty much walked in the room and was like, "Son, I'm a meth addict. I won't change. I will choose meth over you." And he pretty much brought it into my life. He wanted me to go to Missouri, because I'm from Arkansas, but he wanted me to go to Missouri and buy him a box of Sudafed so he could cook up some meth and stuff like that, and that's kind of how it started.
So you went from that ADHD and the marijuana and being kicked out of school, getting your degree early, and then you come into contact with your dad, and he lays it on the line who he is, what he's about, and then you get involved whether you wanted to or not, and whether it was truly forced. It was highly expected, it sounds
Correct.
like.
It was very accessible. And then I dealt with my older sister. She was always on pills, meth, and stuff like that. She actually, when I was like 12 years old, beat down our door with a fire extinguisher because she was trying to get into our house that we were kicked her out of because she was on meth.
Okay. Where did it go from meth? Did it go to another drug?
It stayed with meth.
It stayed with meth. So how long were you a meth user?
Off and on for about 13 years.
Okay. How long are you still using if you were
I was
out of
using the
here?
day of I got arrested and placed here.
Okay. What's your plan, or do you have one?
I plan on moving back in with my uncle in Texas, and he has really good friends, and he doesn't mess with drugs or anything like that, and so it's a good, positive environment.
Does it sound like he's up for that?
He's very, I guess, remissive about it. He doesn't know how he feels because they've given me several chances to clean up my life, and I'd get clean for a little bit, and then I'd start messing up again. And like this last time, I was on the needle really bad. I was doing a lot and doing it really bad.
Why should if I was a family member, all right, Eli, why would I believe you this time?
That's a hard question, but that only time could tell. I'm officially done with it. Like when I moved here to Indiana for a job, my fiance was with me, and she was on it with me as well. And I asked her before we moved up here, can we just start fresh? Can we just be done with it? Like this is a chance to restart our life and do better for ourselves and stuff like that. And she was real against it and stuff like that. And I kind of wavered and decided like, fuck it. Sorry, screw it, and let's go ahead and do it anyways. And we ended up continuing to get high, and yeah.
Yeah. So what was that darkest of spots for you, Eli? Your rock bottom, as so many like to label
My rock
it.
bottom possibly was when I was working for a company, and I got hired on as a manager, and everything was going good. I was clean at first, and then I started slipping up again, started getting high again, and I started taking money from like the registers and stuff like that, and it almost led to me a lot of trouble and stuff like that. But the manager that I had believed in me and like kind of helped coax me into like doing better for myself.
Do his words still ring in your mind? The
Yes, they
words
do.
of positivity. You probably haven't had a lot of those over life, from the sounds of things. Would that be accurate?
No, my mom tried to keep me like straight and stuff like that, but I mean, I'm my own person, and like she worked all the time, and so I was left alone by myself. So I had like it was all my own decision. So I kept like messing up and stuff like that.
Yeah. What is it that's going to allow you to maintain this attitude? I'm ready to beat this.
Because I want a better life. I'm tired of the struggles. Like, I mean, wondering if I'm going to be able to eat the next day, or if I'm able to like be able to get to work, or like gas in the car. Like,
How much longer will you be here? Will you be incarcerated? Eli?
it's still up for grabs, but I got a level 4, level 5, and a level 6, and it's anywhere from 2 to 12 years for the level 4. So I'm going to be here for a while.
Okay. What's some of your goals? I don't mean just to stay clean, because you're not going to accomplish them if you're not. But what are some of your goals?
One of my goals is to be a supervisor again, to have like my own crew and stuff like that. I actually moved from Kansas to here, and I was a supervisor of a company, a sanitation company, and I was doing great at first, but one thing leads to another, and I started getting high again, and then it was just all downhill from there.
What do you see as one of the biggest lies you ever told yourself?
That people don't know that I'm high.
I've heard that one over and over, and when I say I say that generically, not just Eli.
Yes, sir.
But the thought of thinking that nobody knows. You're the only one who thinks that.
I thought I had everything under wraps.
Yeah. Everybody knows who comes into contact for very long. What's going to see you through this time? Why is this time going to be different? What's going to allow you to make it to recovery? And
My
stay in
mindset
it?
this time. I'm officially done with it because, I mean, I saw myself at rock bottom when I first got put into this jail. I didn't even know who I was. I told him I was William Shakespeare, that I was dead for 6 years, that the roof was going to cave in, like all sorts of stuff. Like I was completely out of my mind. And like the next couple of days when I was sobering up and like it slowly kind of creeped in, I was like, who was I? Like, this isn't me. Like, this is not who I want to be. And that's going to be what's going to change everything.
Wow. Okay. What was your lights on moment? What was that moment that, boom, gave you hope?
The day that I woke up sober in jail here, I was just like, wow, like, this is where I'm at. Like, I just ruined my life because I wasn't a felon, didn't have any charges before this, and here I am about to go to prison for the charges that I have.
Okay. And you see yourself as a better person than that, yeah?
Yes.
There was probably a time where you didn't even see yourself, good, bad, or ugly, whatever the case may have been.
I was hidden behind the drug.
Yeah. What kind of strategy do you have to stay clean?
Kind of like what you were saying in the last episode, or the last part, people, places, and things. Just keep better people around myself, stay away from like the areas that are trouble, and just being strong, knowing that I'm not alone.
Knowing that you're not alone is an important piece for certain.
Yes.
We've got to have that village. You know, they've always said it takes a village to raise a child. Well, we're all still being raised because we're making mistakes every day, regardless of our age.
Yeah, I used this saying, Rome wasn't built overnight.
Exactly. But they never stopped with the process, and that's where you're going to have to be, is continuing
Yes,
that
sir.
process. What would be your word of warning to those who are listening who are living an Eli kind of life?
Don't start because it's not one of those things that you could just put down. It really grabs you, and it grabs you hard. And I mean, getting away from it's probably the hardest thing.
Man, I've got to believe that we were in so much denial in the beginning. I'm still hunting for the answer to the question, and again, this is a generic question, not just at Eli. What is it that made you think you could beat the drug? What made you think you could try A, B, or C, an opioid or whatever, and come out on the good side, or that you could stop whenever you wanted to?
The not knowing. I mean, it was just the not knowing. I didn't know that it would grab you like that. And I mean, and once it gets you, and it keeps you there for a while.
We're told that over and over, but it's just like, I'll be okay driving 70 in this 55, and suddenly somebody pulls out in front of you. Or things of that nature. We just don't think it fits us.
We think that we're better than that, like type thing.
Yeah, that's for others, not for us.
Correct.
And then we pay the price. Folks, we want you to know, as we mentioned in part one of Jailhouse Recovery, we're not here to glorify drugs. We're not here to glorify the consequences of using them. We're here to share with you in hopes that maybe you'll hear a word that'll stick with you in a way to where it rolls in your head and you're wondering, should I try it? And you think, no, after listening to that guy, I know better. So just understand that, okay? What is a positive behavior, an attitude that you're employing now that you know you can carry out of here with you that will make a difference for you 10 years from now?
Some people could say it's toxic positivity. I'm always happy. I always think the best of everything. I always I was looking for the next best thing, something to do, a way to do better for myself. Always trying to move up.
Keep that attitude and take time to research how you can move up, how you can become a better you. You can become that Eli that God created you to be. I know that you've never been scared to speak up in our Thursday groups, that as you're coming in or leaving, you've always got a comment. You've told me a couple of things, and I'm pleased to be able to make that kind of connection, have you as a part of it. And the potential's there. I see that. I can see the desire. But if we go back to episode 1, a word of warning that was given was we've got to work our recovery.
It's not given to you. You have to go out there and do it for yourself, and with the help of your close ones, your family and stuff like that.
That's where that change of people, places, and things, instead of surrounding yourself with partiers, you surround yourself with supporters.
Exactly.
And you're going to move in the direction that their flow takes you. And it's a much more positive direction, obviously. I've always said, and I know I've said it on many of our podcasts, I believe through prayer, God can give us the farm that we're praying for. He can give us that property. He can even give us the tractor, but he's not going to drive it. He's going to expect us to drive it and to do that work. So we get it in there, and we hit it with all we've got. We've got a question here. Let's go ahead with that. Scott, go ahead and give us that question, would you please? This is Scott Bronner.
How you doing, Eli?
I'm fine.
The question is, when did you exactly hit your rock bottom?
My very lowest was, I think 2020. Me and my fiance at the time were fighting real bad, and she had court and stuff like that. And at that time, I was clean for meth. We were actually alcoholics. We were drinking a half gallon of whiskey a night between each other. And we ended up getting in a bad argument. It ended up getting violent between each other. And after we both put our hands on each other, and after that, I felt so much remorse, I ended up killing myself. I punched out my buddy's window, and I slit my wrist, and I was 15 times over the legal limit of alcohol and shut my organs down. And I died in front of my mother, in front of her best friend and everything like that. And the paramedics resuscitated me in 3 different times on the way to the hospital. And I was put in a medically induced coma for 7 days, and then was in the hospital for 7 more days while they watched me to make sure my organs were going to recover. And I got put into a mental facility from there.
Scott, I don't know who asked that question, but I can tell you this. That's a pretty heavy answer, all right? And we appreciate that, Eli. Thank you very much. Where are you now in past relationships? Do you have a lot of bridges still to rebuild? Are you looking forward to that opportunity to try to step up from those moments?
Yeah, me and my mother's relationship's always been really tight and stuff like that. And I mean, it's gotten rocky this most recent time when I was getting high and stuff like that, because she saw the telltale signs. And I mean, I just flat out didn't listen to her, and she needed help with stuff, and I would just kind of ignore her. And so I got a lot of stuff to recover with my mom.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself starting with that? I'm sure you recognize and realize it's going to take time. You're going to have to prove yourself that you're a new Eli instead of the old Eli.
Correct. I'm going to start with being there for her. She's now disabled and can't work and stuff like that, and she's going through money issues, and so I want to be there to financially support her like she did when I was younger and stuff like that.
Good deal. Those are keep those as part of your healing and recovery strategy, because that gives you steps to follow. And if you're busy trying to do that, you're not going to have time to pick up those kind of things that are only going to kick you in the tail, knock you back in the hole.
Yep, I'm going to do my best to stay working and stuff like that because she's now living in our family home that's been in our family for over 30 years. And once my grandmother passes, my uncle's trying to sell the house, and I'm not trying to let that happen. I want it to stay in the family, so I'm going to do my best to help financially, like pay for it and stuff like that.
Good deal. Good deal. What do you see as that moment that's going to prove to you, I'm getting there, I'm finding recovery?
The day that I could go without thinking about it, I guess, like, because it stays on my mind quite often. It's like an urge that you can't get over. And the day that I'm able to like wake up and be like, wait a second, like I'm thinking about these other things, like I'm thinking about work, I'm thinking about this, I'm not thinking about the actual drug anymore.
It's not just a physical addiction, it's a mental addiction as well.
It is.
Just as you said, it takes control of your every moment. And at that point where you can recognize that's not happening anymore, you'll know I'm doing something right.
Exactly.
And we know that you can accomplish that. What has been the moment of recent that's kept you moving forward? What gives you hope right now?
The thought of being back with my fiance, she's actually incarcerated here as well. We both got arrested at the same time, and like the moment that I'm able to be reunited back with her.
Okay. I'm not going to ask name. We don't want details. How much longer will she be here?
She's going to get out a lot sooner than I am. She's actually going to go into a rehab facility in Texas, like Dallas, Texas area.
Okay. So, I don't know what the steps are going to be for you. Don't know what your future's going to look like. But I hope and pray for you that moment that gives you that opportunity, that privilege.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
What is it, Eli, that made you even want to do this podcast today, Jailhouse Recovery?
To spread my story and let people know that they're not alone. It does happen, but don't let it cripple you. Like I've been on it for 13 years, off and on, and alcohol addiction and stuff like that. And I mean, you get over it. There's a life afterwards.
You made a comment earlier when we received the question about what specifically was your rock bottom. And you hit that with some pretty heavy stuff. What am I failing to ask you that you want to be able to share with folks so they'll know Eli not as an excuse? This is not excusing any behaviors, folks. We're not trying to do that. But, I hear the ADHD. I know what that can do. I hear your journey, your steps, your losses, the anger during the altercation with your fiance, different things of that nature. What is it you're holding back you believe needs to be heard?
That's a hard question to answer. That really is. I just believe, like, in the times that I was at the rock bottom, I felt like I was truly alone, that no one could understand what I was going through. And so with that, I thought death would be the only way out. And with that, like when I got into recovery and to rehab and stuff like that, the first time I was shown that there's people out there that have fought that kind of the same battle, because everybody deals with their battles like differently, but there's people out there that are like me and needed somebody. And like, I just wanted to be, I guess, a person like that for people.
You want to be able to give back. So stay with that attitude, that heart, and the opportunities will come. Before we wrap up here, what would you like to say? Anything?
That you're not alone. I mean, I know I've said that several times, but you're not alone. There is someone out there that'll listen to you, that'll help you. Like, just keep on trucking. Like, just keep pushing forward, and you'll get there.
That's been our attitude in coming here today, the four of us. It's because we care. It's because you guys matter. It's because it can happen with or to anybody. So thank you for your willingness to share, for your willingness to offer help and hope and your advice. Continue to hang in there, Eli. I look forward to seeing you again in class. Thanks for joining us. God bless.
Thank you.
Stay in the battle.
Yes, sir.
Folks, grab something quick, take a little time, go to the bathroom if you need to. We're going to be back with part 3 of Jailhouse Recovery. Hold on and hang in there.
Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be. But thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. We are once again. We're glad you're right here with us as we continue on with our Jailhouse Recovery series from here at the J County Correction Center / jail. We're here in Portland, Indiana. This is part 3. We're doing our best to share with you suggestions, advice, experiences that we've dealt with. Some have come out on the other side. Some are still struggling too, but we believe they're going to make it. And whatever your case, whatever your lot may be, maybe you'll pick up that piece of info that you needed to see you through. We're not here to glorify the use of drugs or to glorify the consequences of using drugs, but we're here to make a difference, to touch change and save lives. Thanks again for joining with us. Thanks also to Sheriff Ray Newton of the J County Jail and his staff for providing the facility, their willingness to have us, and their extreme support of what we're doing and trying to accomplish. I have a guest with me here today, a young man that I connected with several years ago as a substitute and a coach in the J County school system. and just reconnected with him a few weeks back in one of the classes that I provide here at the Jay County Jail, the Security Center. Welcome, Zach Bishop.
How's it going, Randy?
Hey, it's going great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm blessed to be here. It's good
Thank
to see you.
Well, it's good to have you. Thank you. Appreciate that attitude. Zach, let's go back and share with folks a little of the struggle you've been through with addiction, where it's led you, what it's done, and let's go back to early life. Tell them what that was about.
Now, for most of my life, my drug of choice was alcohol, and I started drinking at a very young age, and it continued up through most of my life. Now I'm getting ready to turn 32 years old. And I never used a drug a day in my life until 2021, which is when I actually tried cocaine for the first time.
So when did you start with the alcohol? You said it was very young age.
It's
Ballpark it.
11, 12 years old.
Okay. What did that look like? Was that a heavy usage?
Hey, I mean, it pretty much took off from the get-go. I grew up in a pretty rough home. And there was a lot of alcohol and probably drug use involved at the time. I didn't know it. So it was readily available. And I pretty much found out pretty soon that I really didn't have a tolerance to alcohol.
It was one of those environmental things. That, there are so many ways that we get involved. There are so many excuses, causes, whatever we want to call it. But when it's environmental, it's pretty hard to escape at times.
Well, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Really, it was my escape from the environment. Yeah, as sad as it seems.
No, that fits with most situations and circumstances. So you say it was alcohol from 11, 12, 13 years old up to about the age of 30, yeah?
Yeah, 29, almost 30, yes, sir.
Okay, and then you said it was heroin?
No, I went just cocaine.
Cocaine, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, why? Why that change?
Man, growing up, I went through things in my childhood that I'll probably never tell anybody a day in my life, and really, it's some of it I don't want people to know it exists, and the alcohol was an escape from that. And then it turned into my later teenage years. It was a prideful thing. I was good at it, started finding my own way in life, started having kids. I had my first relationship failed. I have two beautiful kids from that relationship. My next relationship, was more realistic to me. I was a little bit more mature, still carried on the drinking. I was a highly functioning alcoholic. I provided well while I was drinking as heavy as I was, and in the end, I think that was a big demise in our relationship. But the way that our relationship ended, it really, I think that after living such a horrible life all those years, that I had finally found the life that I thought was normal. It was a normal life. It's what I always wanted. And then one day it was gone. My kids were gone, and I was introduced to cocaine, and that was the only way I continued to get up out of bed and go to work. I was contemplating and possibly attempting at times suicide. The depression really was probably the ultimate factor that made me attracted to cocaine so much.
Do you think the cocaine caused the depression, or that the cocaine was more a result of the depression?
Well, the cocaine really cured the depression. So I was real bad.
Cured it or covered it?
Covered it, yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir. So it was what enabled me to get out of bed from laying in bed days at a time and actually go to work. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to talk. I isolated. So.
Okay. And the struggle with that, was that destroying everything around you? I know you said you had those contemplations of suicide. Yeah. How did you fight your way through all of that?
Well, I continued working. I lost the job that I had for probably a period of 4 or 5 months due to the cocaine. And then towards the end of that, I had a family member actually introduce me to methamphetamine. and it was a lot cheaper than cocaine. And then that's when I started meth. It would have been later of 2021.
Okay, so you've used meth prior to this incarceration, what, a couple, 3 years?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Which one of those seemed to, I'm not even sure how to ask this, Zach, seemed to have its greatest effect on you? Which one took you from being Zach as far away as any drug?
It was the methamphetamine.
It was the meth. Okay, were you a heavy user?
I didn't think so, but yeah. I mean, there's a period of 2 years of my life that I don't know what I did or why or when or how.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but as I go back to thinking what you said about your alcohol use, and you said something about getting pretty good at it, you mentioned the idea of being a highly functioning alcoholic, that when you got into a drug, you got into a drug.
Yes, I did.
You didn't try it halfway. You were going whole hog on that thing.
Correct. And, I'm pretty strong-minded. I've always taken a lot of pride in the, my hard-working ethic. And I strive to be a functioning addict too, and I was good at it.
What is it that's seeing you through life? What is it that allowed you to survive all of that, Zach?
I don't really know. I'm beyond grateful and blessed to be here today. Honestly, I don't really know how to answer that
No.
question.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there with gratefully blessed and thankful to be here today, that you've evidently got some sort of connection with God. I don't know at what level, and I'm not challenging that, but you've obviously got that connection, and when God's involved, our chances increase dramatically for any kind of success and survival. What advice would you give to folks who are raising their own Zach? There's somebody else out there who's going, man, I know what he's talking about. That's me. Talk to that child's mom and dad. Tell them what's needed.
Well, I think at this point in my life, I felt like my parents turned their back on me quite a bit. They were divorced. I was torn between two homes. In my dad's house, I was in the church every other weekend. In my mom's home, it was some pretty strenuous abuse and drug use and alcoholism. Really, it's just, I have really struggled and thrived to be there for my kids. And even with my downfalls, I'm confident in the fact to know that my kids know that I'll be there for them no matter what. And I never had that, and I think that the number one thing for somebody that is raising their kids or has somebody that's struggling with any kind of addiction is don't turn your back on them. There's boundaries that can be set and withheld. But I've definitely, even through my addiction, I've had both my parents turn their backs on me recently, and that's hard.
It is. It is, regardless of your age, okay? Everything that goes with that. What kind of strategy do you have for your future, Zach? What are you employing now, or what are goals to keep you from going back to the meth or the alcohol, or any other drug?
So, to me, I like to look at it as a phase in my life. Not a good one, clearly, but there was I went from having my life, everything I thought I wanted. I mean, I did, and then one day I just didn't. So once my kids were gone, my family was gone, I really didn't know what to do. And the drugs helped. I was functioning, in the course of 2 years of very heavy meth addiction. I have worked, and I own several properties, so I continued working and building, in life. But at the same time, I've destroyed every relationship that I've had around me. I've never stolen anything, so I don't have any of those kinds of issues, but I like to look at it as a phase. It was very humbling to me during my addiction. The people that made sure I ate are the people I used to look down on. Even now in recovery, I've been clean since October 28th of last year.
Congrats.
Thank you. Even now, you know, some of the people that I was getting my drugs from are the first people that are being supportive of me in my recovery. You know, it was very humbling in some ways, you know, and I pray that everybody that is under addiction can find their way out. But it's very, very drastically changed my view on people.
It's gotten your attention in a way that what you see up front isn't always what's on the inside. The scriptures even talk about how man looks on the outside, God looks on the inside.
Yeah.
And he sees it.
Yeah.
You know, I see you and see your height, see your color of hair, your beard, etc. God looks at you and sees you on the inside. And that's where we all need to be. And it sounds like that's where you're getting. You're starting to recognize people for their potential. I think that's important for all of us. What is a goal? What would you love to be able to accomplish someday professionally?
So I've continued. I'm a general contractor. I'm a carpenter by trade. I own a construction company. I have rental properties. You know, so I obviously am going to continue on with my career path. But I think that when I was under, you know, heavy in the use, it wasn't about the money to me. I continued to work, but I did a lot of charity work while I was using drugs. And that's really, I think, interpersonally is what helped me get through it. Because I think going out and doing these things to help these people, even though I was highly addicted to methamphetamine and was strenuously under the use of it, I think that's what made me feel like I was at home providing. I don't know. And I think moving forward, obviously I need to get a little bit more financial stability. I think that is going to play a big role in my sobriety. I want to incorporate some form of charity volunteer work into my work.
I know there's some good and the worst of us, and some bad and the best of us, and we've got to strike that middle chord and balance all that out. What's the darkest spot in your life, Zach?
Now, all through the past couple years of me using, I mean, really every night I would get up in the mornings and I would text my kids' mom and I would ask if I could talk to or see my kids. I wouldn't get a response, so I'd go use. And then that's how I got through that day. Towards the end of my use, it was this past winter, we had a cold spell where there was about 4 or 5 days of like negative degree temperature. And man, I'd been sleeping in my truck to stay warm. You know, I have properties and stuff, but I wasn't taking care of the things I needed to do. I didn't have electricity, didn't have any way to heat. And during that cold spell, man, I was laying in my camper with no electricity, no heat, no nothing, just trying to bundle up and clothes. And I remember laying there telling myself, I'm so cold, I'm gonna die. And I laid there for 4 or 5 days in that weather. And towards the end of it, I hadn't used for, you know, so many days because I couldn't get out and work and make money to go get any drugs. And I realized, like, that was the first time in my life I really thought I was dying. It was terrifying. And I called my dad and I said, hey, I'm freezing. I need somewhere to go. And he came and picked me up. And I didn't really tell him why. I just told him asked him if I could stay here for a couple of days until I could get in touch with my mom. Luckily, I did. I just told both my parents I need to make better decisions. And you know, from that point on, I've been sober.
Again, congrats. Sometimes we've got to hit the coal before we start to warm up to what's right and everything that goes with that. Your lights on moment, that moment where you said to yourself, I'm going to make it. I'm going to rise above this. I'm going to stop this stuff. I'm going to make better decisions. Mm-hmm. What was that lights on moment?
Really, when I was laying there in that camper, it's the same camper that me and my family used to go camping in. The last time we did was a Father's Day, and it still pretty much was as is left when we went camping the last time. And I was just laying there looking at my kids' stuff, and I broke down, and that's what. I mean, I pretty much told myself, I tried to kill myself. I wasn't no good at that. After that, I decided, well, I'll just let gravity take over. I quit eating, purposefully. Was just hoping that eventually it would just, do it on its own. And I wasn't no good at that. I obviously wasn't very good at doing drugs. I wasn't very good at pretty much anything at that point in my life. And I looked around and figured, well, maybe, the one thing I was good at was being a dad, and I can take a stab at that again.
And so that's got to be a major caveat, a major, sign out in front of you to strive for. A major goal is to be that dad you believe you've been created to be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How many kids you have, Zach?
So I have 3 biologically. My ex had a child that was 4 months old when we got together, and I raised him the first 7 years of his life, and I'll always claim him as my own.
Okay.
So 4.
Yeah. So how old are those 3 at this time? The biological, his age at this time as well.
Yeah, I've got 5, 7, 9, almost 10, and then my oldest son is 12 years old today, actually.
Okay. That's a handful in and of itself, if all is good, raising kids at that age. And you've got a lot of it ahead of you as well. And you and I have talked in our group after having you in school and subbing and everything, that we had our moments, but we're good with that. We've got total respect for each other. You shared some things with me I had to dig in my head to remember, but I got those. Yeah,
I was definitely the kid that was sticking pencils in the ceiling, and I'm definitely getting my payback.
Yeah. Well, we hope it gets no worse than that from here on. Okay, that's your greatest. What is it that you want to say to your 4 children right now? If they're listening to this, if they were sitting across you from the table, what would you say? It can be individually or as a group. I don't care.
Man, that's kind of hard, because there's so much that I've wanted to say the past couple of years, but part of me doesn't know why I was unable to see them. I know part of it. There's a lot of vindictive, manipulative things on both parts, but I respect my kids as moms and their decisions. I would like for all my kids to know that, even though I haven't been there the past couple of years, I have been, and, they're the only reason I'm alive right now, and probably always will be, and that I love them all very dearly.
I'd suggest that when you're out of here and you're back around them, you just take that time and tell them that.
Yes,
Let
sir.
them know. Let them know how much they matter. You don't know how long you've got or how long they've got. Stranger things have happened to a 8-10-year-old, and we've lost them way too soon. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't want that to happen, but don't want you to miss that opportunity of trying to make things better. I don't know if you can make them right. That'll be between you guys, but I know you can make them better, and you work toward that. What do you want to say here before we get ready to close down? Don't have a lot of time left, but why was this important to you today to be a part of this?
Well, there's a couple reasons real quick. One, I've never told anybody any of this. It's just pretty much just been me on my own. So this has done a lot for me. My kids will at one point be able to look at this. That could be important to me. There's people out there that may have gone through the same thing, never dealt with any drug use or anything, and then just had something traumatic happen. So, it's not been a strenuous use of drugs, but there's one thing that can make it come on, and it's unexpected. I never dreamed I'd be in this position. And when you are put in that position, it's you against the world, and that's the way you feel personally, but it's not. So it's important to reach out and look around you at the people that are trying to be there.
All right. Zach, thanks. I'm glad we've reconnected. I wish it had been elsewhere, but it was meant to be here, obviously, through the groups. Thank you for your recall of past times. Thank you for this privilege and opportunity. And look forward to seeing you in the future out of here.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to connect, and if I miss you, slap me on the shoulder again, all right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, this is episode 3 of Jailhouse Recovery here at the Jay County Corrections Center. It's a good thing. We're enjoying this, and hopefully we're exposing ideas and advice and help for you and yours. We look forward to part 4 here in just a few moments, but stay tuned. You're going to have about 6 or 7 hours of this to where you can binge watch and listen, put it together, and hopefully it'll make the impact we pray that it'll make. So God bless, take care, stay in the battle, and thank you.
Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be. But thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Hey, this is part 4 of Jailhouse Recovery, coming to you today from the J County Security Center, the jail here in Portland, Indiana. Thanks to the sheriff, Ray Newton, and his staff, they provided us with great attention, encouragement, support, everything and more than we could hope for. Certainly a facility that fits our needs and just allowing us this opportunity. We're of the belief this is the first time this has ever been accomplished by any podcast, to be in a county jail interviewing inmates about their destructive choices, about their battle with addiction, hopefully into their recovery. Not everybody is, and we're okay with that. We just hope they find their way to that. This has been a joy for us, and as I've already said, this is part 4. Our guest for part 4 is Brian Bickle. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Randy.
Good to have you. Appreciate that.
Glad to be here.
Well, it's good to...
Wish it was better circumstances, but...
Well, we all do, okay? But
Yes,
it
sir.
is what it is, and we're going to make the best of that.
Absolutely.
Why is it, Brian, you're willing to be a part of this? You're going to make yourself vulnerable. People have already got your name. You've shared that.
Right.
What... Yeah, just tell us. Why
Well-
did you want to be a part?
Well, to be honest with you, I've gone through a lot here in the last 6 or 7 years. I've had a bunch of demons that I can't shake them. I really need to start finding my faith. I mean, that's most important to me right now. I do have a sobriety date, the day I came in, well, the day after July 10th. So I guess I'm just going to run with that.
Tell us about some of those dings. What have they looked like, okay?
Well, just to put it in simple context, once you do so much opiates, you build a tolerance to them, okay? And it got to the point where I wasn't even doing it for the buzz, but I was doing it to keep myself from being sick. And I can tell you right now, I've been here 2 weeks, so I'm on the downslope of my detox, and I couldn't be more happier right now.
Hooray for you. We want you to rise above that, but we know you got to go through that struggle, that pain.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you a question I haven't asked any of our guests yet, because the comment you just made. Explain what true detox is like. Tell the folks. Yeah.
Well, where should I start? You got, it's night sweats, it's restless legs, it's puking, diarrhea. It's just, there's no part of it that I would ever want to go back to.
You'd never choose to go through that.
Absolutely.
Right? Nobody in their right mind would. Nobody wakes up in the morning going, I hope I experience all those things.
Right.
And all that in the same day at times, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then over and over, not just one and done.
Right.
But it just destroys you for those days. But you've got to go through it to get out of it. And of course, that's one of the reasons many never get out of that addiction, because they're hunting for something to keep them from going through the detox.
Yes, sir.
And certainly we don't want you to be able to find that or to do that, and we want you to be able to rise above it. What was early life like, Brian? What were you like as a young kid?
Oh, man, if I could go back, Randy. I grew up playing nothing but sports. My dad and my mom were so supportive of me growing up. I was a really good baseball player. I played soccer. I played football. Tried basketball. Wasn't quite big enough, but, I was a really good athlete when it came to football and baseball. So We'd go to Disney 4 or 5 times, you know, over the years just to have a tournament at the Universal Wide World of Sports. I mean, everything I did as a kid, I can honestly say I never in my life thought that I would be where I am today.
What was it that got you here? I don't necessarily mean the charges. Let's talk a little bit about your addiction time.
Okay.
What got you started into addiction?
Well, I had this girlfriend who, just to be safe, I'm just not going to mention her name. If that's
Sure,
okay.
wouldn't want you to.
Right. And her mom would always, she'd come home and then she'd ask me to try whatever she had because I didn't have a tolerance. So if it was gonna, you know, if it got me high, then it should be able to get everybody else high. And looking back at it, I hate that I was used as a guinea pig like that, to be honest with you. But from this point on, all I can do is look forward, Randy.
Yes. What were your drugs of choice?
Heroin, Xanax. That's pretty much it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was enough. How long? Addiction, how long did that last for you?
Well, I will be 29 on August 21st. So it's been probably 10 years now or so.
Okay. August 21st, my wedding anniversary. So I'll remember that and keep you in prayer. All right. Yeah, that'll give me a tag with you other than seeing you in our group on Thursdays.
Yes, sir.
Brian's another member of that. And yeah, that's one of the reasons I feel an affinity, a closeness with you guys, your attendance, and we're trying to help you through a better life. Brianna's hope. Give you options, give you positive feedback, and point out those areas where there could be change.
Yes, sir.
You said a little bit ago, Brian, you need to get back to your faith.
Yeah.
Describe your faith.
Like my brother, he's a pastor at a church. His wife watches, is there with him every day. She babysits while the church service is going on. So, my brother, he's really tried. I can honestly say he's tried his hard. I mean, to get me to really truly believe, he's tried. But for some reason, Randy, I don't know how to find my faith.
Okay.
I asked Lord for forgiveness, and it's tough to say it, but it's almost like, why me? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm gonna pray to my God about some demons that I have, I want to make sure He's gonna help me shake those demons. I want Him to be there with me every step of the day. It's 365 days a year, 7 days a week. If I can get God in my heart, I think I'll go a lot further than where I would have been.
Well, I agree with you 100% on that. If I had that absolute route, I'd draw it out for you right now. But I do know He's available to you those 365 days a year to help you get on that journey, and that you can count on Him. He's not going to let you down. He's not going to tell you no. He may not give you the answer you want at the moment you want it. He may tell you to wait. But He's going to hear you. He's not going to ignore you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and faith is something you build. Faith's not an overnight experience. It takes time, and it takes practice, prayer, reading, etc. The list goes on. Is your brother older or younger? I'm curious.
He's older than me. I also have 3 sisters I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. Okay. Yes, okay.
And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, I got so deep in my addiction, it got to the point where I couldn't even have Christmas with my family. I wasn't allowed over there at all. So, to get to this point, really all I have left is my dad. And with the time that I'm facing right now, I'm honestly really scared that I might not ever get to see him again.
Okay. because of his age and your time away.
The time, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully they'll come around.
Yeah,
They'll
absolutely.
give you that opportunity, but you're going to have to prove yourself, obviously.
Yes, sir.
You can get that done.
Yes, sir.
For sure. During your struggles of struggles, what was your low spot, Brian? What was the moment that you just, I'm thrown in the towel? You know, I'd rather die than deal with another second of this.
Right. For me, it's just the fact that I had to wake up every morning and do whatever I needed to do to, get that fixed. I mean, that's just not a way to live life, honestly. And I can look back on it now and say that I can't believe that I'm still alive, to be honest. After all all the drugs and stuff that I've done, I mean, I'm just glad to be here because
There's obviously a purpose and a reason why.
somebody's watching out for me.
Yeah, somebody's recognizing your faith. And
I love you, Katie Buck.
yeah, just, count on God to be that one that takes over and works it all. So, what was the lights on moment? The moment that told you, that inner voice that said, Brian, you're better than this. Brian, you can do better than this. Brian, now is the time.
Right. I wish I would have told myself that, days, weeks before I was arrested, but I don't know. I'm glad that the worst part is over with. I'll be glad to be feeling back to normal again. And I can honestly say that I'm not craving any kind of drugs right now, which that was a big demon for me. It was. I've been to rehab 6 times, and I've only completed it once. And I guess you could say that I wasn't ready at the time, which is why I chose to leave. But to be honest with you, what's got me a little worried right now is how much time I'm facing.
I'm sure. Do you want to share that? That's totally up to you.
Yeah. Well, when you factor it all in, the 2 level 2s, the 2 5s, the 4 6s, and habitual offender, I'm probably looking at 30 to 35 years.
Okay.
I know I'm going to try to get as much of that suspended as I can, but yeah. So it's a downhill slide for me right now.
When is that hearing coming up, Brian?
I go for my omnibus date on September 3rd, so I should have a plea by then. I can't guarantee you I'll take it because it can only get better,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do whatever I can to get as much of this time shaved off because I want to get home. I want to get home to my dad, you know what I mean? I want to be part of my family's life again.
Folks, I want to go ahead and explain to you, though Better Life Brianna's Hope comes in and speaks with the male inmates. I do that every Thursday. Candy, a member of our staff and I'm part of the ABL-BH team, speaks to the gals immediately after I speak with the guys. We appreciate their attendance. We believe we can make a difference in their lives. We have plenty to offer. But we also make it clear we're not a way to shave time. We're not a way to save time. We're not a way to change much of anything. We can give a letter of recommendation, but obviously we guarantee nothing, and we're not in here for that purpose. We're in here to make them more of the person God wants them to be.
Amen.
And if we can help them get there, then they're going to deal with whatever happens in a different way. So we give it our best. We hope they're giving it their best. And we pray for the best and trust God for the best and know that He's in charge. So what is it, Brian, that you feel is holding you back? Obviously, the time you're facing in your situation, but within your being, what is it that's holding you back from being the person you believe you can be?
Well, just to give you a pretty straightforward answer, I got the devil over here. I got the devil on this shoulder telling me to do this, this, and this. I try to go back and forth with him because I know God's got my back too. But some of these demons, it's hard for me to shake, Randy. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, that's what we want. We came in here to be raw, real, and sloppy.
Absolutely.
Okay? We're not trying to convince anybody of guilt or innocence. We're just telling our story and our experience.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully we'll gain some encouragement from this. You're revealing, that's not the word I want to, exposing is a better word. You're exposing a lot of pretty personal things here and struggles, and you're doing well with it, by the way, but how does that make you feel? Is that a freeing thing to you, or is it a very hesitant kind of thing, or maybe some other description?
Okay. I wouldn't say that it's, something that I, have a heavy weight burden on. I have a family. I got to get back out there too. To be able to go out there and just spend time with my family whenever I want to. That's something I want because I haven't had that in years now.
Okay.
I'm not around any of my nephews and nieces, which I can't blame my sister for that because look at me. I wouldn't have done it either. But I will come home. They can't keep me forever. So all I want is to be there for my family when I do get home.
Yeah. What are your goals? Let's say this, you said like 50 years possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just say, for the sake of agreement, that's 25.
Okay.
That they cut it to 25 and you're out in 25. What are your goals for that point?
Well, I don't really know if I've thought about how far down the road it would be, but I know I got to take it one step, one day at a time. If I try to look too far into the future, I'll just get right back in my head.
That's a good response, and not a true answer to the question, but better yet, that's a truthful response, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Because I don't feel I've got 25 years ahead of me, but if I did, I don't know what life would look like in and of itself 25 years from now.
Absolutely.
The changes I've seen the last 25 years personally, societally, culturally, politically, relationally. I had no idea this is what it would look like at this point. So what's a fantasy goal? Just, or if you had it to do over again, who would you like to be now? What would you like to do?
Well, I know my dream job would probably be...
That's it. That's what I want to hear.
Would probably be sitting in the Reds booth calling Reds games with John Shadak and Barry Larkin. Dream job. I couldn't get enough of it. I love baseball.
I didn't know the Reds were still playing baseball. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I've never been a Reds fan. Maybe
yeah.
back in the day of the big red machine when they
yeah.
had all that power and
Yeah.
all the names of the day. By the way, we went to a Reds game. I have a foul ball from Johnny Bench.
Oh, man.
Now,
That's a keeper there.
Well, this was during an old timers game. Okay, it was after his retirement, but a foul ball came to me like it was meant for me. Of course, I dropped it.
Screaming your name, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I dropped it, but I could beat the guys next to me to the ball. So I've got a Johnny Bench ball.
Absolutely.
Never got it signed. Don't have to, but I'm proud of the ball regardless.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, yeah.
Because me and my wife this past year, we've been to 7 or 8 of them, and every time, you're just waiting for that foul ball to come your way.
That's why you go sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with that hope of it. So what is a positive thing you can say about yourself? Brian. You've been very honest with us here, and this isn't bragging. This is the kind of pride that I believe we all need. Not arrogance, but pride in who we are. I know you've got your struggles, and I know you're facing some iffy times. That doesn't mean the entirety of Brian's a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Brag on Brian for a minute.
Yes, sir. Really, I have found it in my head that drugs is not something I want to be involved with for the rest of my life. So as far as that goes, I'm just looking forward to, however much time I do get, it's something that's almost out of my hands, so to speak. So all I can do is put my faith in God and pray every night and hope that I get a good outcome out of this, Randy.
And whatever that outcome is, to make the best of that outcome through continued prayer and reading of his word and anything else that'll keep you close to him and be the kind of disciplines that'll make Brian a better person and make him that person he wants to be. What is it you'd like to say to somebody who's raising their own Brian?
Well, Dad, you've been there for me through everything. You never turned your back on me, no matter how much dumb stuff I've done over the years. So for you to still be there for me means a lot to me. I really hope you know that, Pops. I love you.
How old is your dad, Brian?
63.
Okay, so he...
In September, I'll be 63.
Okay. He's 10 years younger than me, for whatever that's worth, all right? So I know that age genre and all. We pray for him, pray for you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the folks listening in before we get ready to shut this down?
Okay. Well, I'm a prime example of what can happen if you just, if you're just ripping and running all the time and just all you're worried about is getting your fix. It's bound to happen. And I should have never got back into it when I got out last time. But it's hard to shake these demons, and for me, I have to move forward with my life. I can't rely on drugs the rest of my life. Point blank, period. That's what it's going to have to be. I got to take care of myself. Absolutely.
Brian, you've been kind of a refreshing interview with your ownership on this. You're owning it. You're recognizing it. That's a part of the recovery. That's part of the healing, that it's not because of somebody else. Because you can't change somebody else. You can change Brian.
Right.
And that's a job in and of itself to change ourselves.
Yes, sir.
But you can get it done. And you've got some of those, the presence of your dad with you and your feelings toward him. That's a very positive influence. Man, we wish the best for you.
Yeah.
Appreciate your willingness to be a part of Jailhouse Recovery.
Absolutely.
Sharing your story. These are not lighthearted things you said, your exposure of yourself, the vulnerability. Folks, it's why we're here, to hear these stories. And if you realize and recognize, Brian's in no way glorified the usage or the consequences. We're not debating guilt or innocence. He's made it clear he's been guilty. And I'm not saying of all things charged. He's been guilty of some tough and poor decisions. And he's trying to move beyond those and rise above them. And we hope, pray the best. Okay. Thank you for your time here today as a part of A Better Life. Brianna's Hope, our Faith in Your Recovery podcast. God bless. I'll see you again next week during class. All right?
Thank you, Randy.
Take care. Thank you.
Can't wait to get back on the podcast.
All right. Amen.
Amen.
on.
Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. Welcome to Jailhouse Recovery. This is something special, something new, something different. We don't believe it's ever been done before by anybody anywhere, to go into a county jail and to do a podcast with the inmates. Today, we're at the J County. I've always got to look at my notes on this because I mess it up every time. The J County Security Center and Jail in Portland, Indiana. We're speaking with some of the inmates of their story, their struggles, their experiences in life, their victories, and what it's going to take for them to move forward. This is part number 5 of our Jailhouse Recovery. It's going to be about a 6-7 hour binge time we're done here, and we hope you'll tune in for each part. Thank you for listening to this one. We welcome you aboard. Subscribe, like, get involved. Let us have your questions, your comments. This going out live gives you the opportunity to participate, and we'll get on those right away. Our guest comes to us today from Texas. That's a bit of a ride from here. James Gabot. Is that the correct pronunciation, James?
Yes, sir. It sure is.
All right. Go ahead. Respond to the question I just asked him a minute ago. Tell our listeners your heritage, because it interests me, and I like those cultures.
I'm a little bit of a mutt, as you could say, I guess, because I'm French, Indian, and I'm also Cajun. I'm from a southern down south, Dallas, Texas, born and raised.
All right. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. James, why are you willing to have a seat here today and expose yourself in this way? What's it mean to you? Tell us.
It took a long time to really take this second in my life, actually, really to even come forth about my background, my past, or anything that's led up to this moment. Honestly, Betty Jean is the main reason why I'm really sitting here doing this. I've been told that I need to tell my story. I just ain't looked for the confidence to do it, but I'm taking this opportunity now.
Well, thank you for being willing to do that. We look forward to what you've got to say. And by all means, if I miss out on something, you go ahead and bring it up.
Yes,
Insert it in there, all right? Where's your battle begin, James? Let's go back early in life, wherever or however old you may have been.
12 years old. I'm 38 now, but 12 years old is where it really started because I couldn't find my foundation. The love, family choices were up and down. I chose to live the fast life, following in my father's footsteps. God rest his soul, but he was the reason why I kind of am who I am today, even though between the struggle of feeling the love and the strong side of, discipline was really a little outstanding, but it's really where it settled me to be more humble now, I guess.
Tell us what the fast life means to you. Define it from your experience.
Well, in Texas, there's a fast lane for death row as well. Unfortunately, I didn't meet that, and thank God. But I took a big step in following some things as most dealers would do, or just finding my way, which was always the wrong way because it was always watching everybody else do what they were doing. So I thought that was the opportunity, being misled. I kind of misled myself. So I can't really blame my family because I knew right from wrong from a long time. So.
Yeah. What did it look like early on, James? How, script that for us, please.
But from the age of 12 is really when I started using methamphetamines. It was real hardcore down there, you know, and in my family it was really something that took a big step of really just draining you of everything in life. You just kind of just took it in for what it was worth, what everybody else was doing. So I felt like not really obligated, but I put myself in that position just to allow it to overtake me. And it was just a destruction path, straight destruction. Texas tornado loose.
Destroying everything in its path, including you.
Well, I ended up in Texas Boys School, Youth Commission at the age of 12. So I was in and out of foster homes, in and out of being locked up in Youth Commission until I was 17 when I caught my first possession charge. Actually, I got caught with an 8-ball inside a correctional facility, and it kind of took me downhill from there. You know, my first 4 years I did in Texas prison. Came home before I was 21, and my father had passed. Meantime, it was kind of really a struggle trying to find myself. I didn't love myself. I loved everything about life, but not myself. You know, I wasn't as hungry for life like I am now.
Yeah, yeah. What is it that's brought you to that point of being hungry for life now?
Yeah, I tell everybody else, life it's not just a choice; it's a gift. And it took me 38 years, and this. I got out last year after doing a 7.5-year bit. That really changed me more as I'm more humble and grateful for what God has given me. Even though I've backtracked, had a few minor setbacks, but I pulled through because this opportunity of sitting down just for the 28 days I did for parole violation just cleaned me all the way up. I wasn't strung out, but Suboxone wasn't where it was at. I kept trying to fill a hole, and that hole was just emptier than emptier. And it was just time to let it all go. I mean, I could sit here and probably cry to you right now because I'm finally feeling cleansed, but I still need to find my footsteps on some other things.
Of course. So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you've led me to believe over the past couple of meetings and all, your short time, yes?
Next week, God willing, I'll be home back with my family and opportunity. I'm walking out here with no papers, no nothing. Just an opportunity to go ahead and keep moving that forward in them footsteps, as I just recently explained. So,
does going home mean back to Texas? Is that what home is now, or what's home look like?
Pennville, Indiana.
All right,
just right down the road.
Different than Texas, but yeah,
it's small town life, and I don't really know nobody, and I don't know anybody, and it's just greater that way. I just like being to myself and the few that I do have. That's a loving spot that I didn't have, and that's why I say things are much more humble for me now.
Yeah. Okay. Understand, we've got a recovery meeting in Dunkirk, got one in Red Key, got one in Portland.
Yes, sir.
Love to have one in Pennville. Maybe we can talk about that sometime.
I'm open
to
it.
Get you involved with that,
yes,
all
sir.
right? But no, we'll be there to continue to help, and we'll continue to connect. What did the darkest spot in your battle, that low spot, that low of lows, look like to you, James? How did that play out?
I mean, I can be honest. For the most part, I don't think I really hit the low spot. I just realized that this low spot was near, like a plateau. Like it was either end it now or keep going, and it's just going to keep wrecking like a wrecking ball. And come when I got 7.5 in Wayne County, it turned a lot around. Like I couldn't blame the person that told on me. The only thing I could do is blame myself for giving an opportunity to somebody to do that to me. I was foolish. I was still naive. Yeah, I still got some naive, I'm still learning myself. I'm still learning that not everything has to end in bad. There's opportunities without the negative.
The flip side of that coin, what was a lights on moment? When did that come that says James can do better than this? James can be who James wants to be.
When I signed that plea bargain was a big change. Seeing the tears in my mama's eyes, but seeing the faith that judge had in me, knowing that I already knew that people, places, and things change everything, that opened the door for me. Seeing that somebody from the other side could speak for me through through a vision that I didn't see, you know, that they actually was yet proud of something, you know, something I was missing, and proudness from a lot of people around me.
So this judge, he gave you that look and evidently the words that helped you to believe in yourself. If somebody like him believes in me, then I can believe in myself. Is that accurate?
Very accurate. Nail on the head.
Okay. If you could talk to him right now, what would you say?
He did the greatest thing for me. I was looking at 23 years. You know, I was just turning 30. I'm 38, like I said, now, and a lot of things then wasn't what it is now. I took a lot of things for granted, but I wanted to thank him very much for the sentence, even though it took a lot to accept my wrongs and actually admit it to myself, not others. I had to admit it to myself. Like, I really had to sit down and be understanding of the blame game.
Yeah.
It's part of the addiction as well. You know, I blamed everything for everything and not gave myself that opportunity to understand it was me. It starts with me. It don't start with others. It starts with me.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of disciplines do you have employed that's going to keep you above the stinking thinking and returning to where you were?
There's no looking back. I'm not looking back. My discipline's already set in motion. And once I get something in my head, my girl can tell you, once I get something in my head, I'm there. If I'm going to fully commit myself, I'm fully committed to myself more than I was in my younger age. So now the aspect of it is how committed or how bad do you want it?
So, bullet points. What does your recovery look like? What's going to be 3 or 4 steps? And they don't have to be consecutive. 3 or 4 bullet points that'll help you maintain recovery.
Actually, there's, you know, this might sound oddball, but I don't even think I have them bullet points anymore because I'm that confident. I've actually let go of things a little more that were them steps. So I can't pinpoint. I can only tell you now that the end of that rope is here, and it's no longer needed. Like groups, I tried doing that, counseling, therapists, all within the last year and a half, and I slowly let go of them, knowing that, you know, that hole doesn't need to be filled no more. The love of my life is really set that boundary for me. How much do I love my life, who I'm with, my family, seeing my family the way it is still, you know, it still needs a lot of mending. But I feel like I'm that one that could probably mend a lot more. So that's more encouraging than just looking for a step to need to block myself from continuing using.
Okay.
Like I let go of the groups, I let go of the Suboxone, so now it's time fully effect to just watch the walk.
You made a comment about the love of your life. You mean that literally, yes?
Yes.
That's not a somebody or a something.
No,
that is literally the love of James' life.
It had to put the death of the old me to love the new me, you know.
That's scriptural. God does that. Creates a new individual, and that's what it takes. If you're going to be the old you, you're going to behave in the old ways, and you've seen where that's gotten you.
Yes.
What is a dream for the future, James, regardless of how unfathomable it may be? What is a dream that you hope to accomplish?
I just want to be a simple man. I want that simple life, that white picket fence, a house, a vehicle, dog in the yard, and back with my kids. The love of my life's already here. It's me and Betty Jean. It's just pushing forward, and I'm not going to give up on this opportunity. You only get it once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
You got to run with it. You can't look back.
And you got to do the work it takes to get you there.
You got to get it to the man above.
There you go. There you go. And then you've got to build that picket fence. He may send you the wood, but I'll bet he's not going to come to the yard and build it.
It's all right. I'll build it and she'll paint it. How about that?
That'll work.
And we'll just praise him for it, you know?
Yeah. And that's what it takes anywhere. What is advice you would want to give to someone who's struggling the same you were, who's been through similar experiences?
You have to be committed. You should take a step back and look in the mirror first, because I had to take a step back and look in the mirror. Don't just look at all the bad. Look at the good and the bad. I look at both sides of the fence of everything because there's always two sides to the story, correct?
Yep.
So with my good and my bad, but you have to take a step back and know your worth. Like it takes a lot to know your worth when you're an addict because you're steady firing, whether you shoot it, snort it, smoke it. It's raw. It's serious. Every day you take a step back of who you are, and you don't realize you're not accepting what's going to come forward out of that, because that's the big step. You got to overcome that, and just look at yourself and be grateful and thankful. God gave you a life. God gave you a chance. There's a lot of people out there that we do know that I know for sure that has passed. I literally OD'd 32 times in 1 month. So,
in 1 month?
Yes, sir. I was dead for 45 minutes. That's part of me I really don't like showing because it's a shame. But at the same, it was an opportunity that I'm here still for a reason, obviously.
No doubt.
I can't speak any more or less, and the girl that was there with me at the time just kept handing it to me, I was sidetracking on the fact of everything that she was already on, whether or not that was going to do the same for me as it was going to do for her. And it took me to the last prison sentence to really sit down and go, the whole time she was on all this, and every time she handed it to me, it was okay for her, but it would kill me. I didn't see that. I was too busy on that ride. That ride was just uncontrollable, and it was horrible. And now that I look back at it, I mean, like God's given me, I got more than 9 lives. I know plenty of people that could tell you right now about Gabo. He's got more than 9 lives, and I don't want no more. I just want this one.
Yeah.
I want this one in this opportunity because
make it the best you can, right? Or the best it's supposed to be.
I'm not perfect. I still got some minor flaws and setbacks, but I know one thing. If you're out there right now and you're still using, you need to take a step back and look at yourself and be grateful that you're alive. No matter if you're still using, it's a step to be thankful.
It's that need to appreciate what you got for you and can't expect to get more. That's scriptural. The word talks about how God trusts us with a little and then gives us more so we can grow in that.
There's always more.
Yes.
You can always be that flower that pushes through that rock.
Yep. And that's what it takes, and that continued effort along with all of that. What is it you want the world to know about James Gabo? We start off with your heritage. Go ahead, give them a line that says, please know this about me, recognize, realize, whatever.
You can always overcome anything if you're willing to, and be as good as you can be. And, I always like to say this, and it's a little awkward, but it's just like they do what they want, but I can do what I can. You know what I'm saying? Because the things that they want to do ain't going to be the things that I can do. So,
Exactly.
I'm a individual I call myself the last of the dying breed because, it's, my father's passed and everything. But, opportunity to be humble only comes in a lifetime when you realize it. Like I said, my life was not just a choice, it was a gift. And I'm more hungry for life now. So if anything you remember about it, James Gabo is hungry for life, and here I come. No more hell on wheels. I'm full throttle for life. There's only one opportunity. No matter if it's been 10 in a row that you get an opportunity, it takes that one. And I'm thankful for this one chance.
So many times I've felt that with some lives, if they'd stayed in the battle for one more corner, one more prayer, one more struggle, the victory was waiting, but they gave up too soon. And it sounds to me like you're going to refuse to give up.
I'm not a quitter.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
And so we trust that is what sees you through, that's what pulls you through, and that's what allows others to get the encouragement they need to get through as well.
It's always good to have a foundation to get through that encouragement. And a lot of times I didn't feel that foundation was there. The foundation ain't just your family. It's the Lord above. I'm not no holy roller, but I do believe you give an opportunity, you'll open up and you'll see salvation is there.
Absolutely. I have no problem with that thought. Okay. Give us one moment of faith that's seen you through and you've been able to see God in it.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. But that one time that I died for 45 minutes, you know, when I woke up cold, shaking, and my brother was there, my mother's there, but my girl at the time was nowhere near. And that doctor walked in and said, he's basically dead to us, and shook my hand. And I'm like, why would you say something like that? That was an open opportunity of faith that I blindsided because I was too far into my addiction. But I was more mad that they let me live. But then now I think about it, you know, I may not know that purpose, but that purpose is somewhere there, and I'm still fighting for it. Regardless, anybody can say anything they want about me, but at the end of the day, they don't know me as well as the man above. So
Amen
I'm going
to
to be thankful.
that. Yes, and I am thankful for that because, quite frankly, I don't need your forgiveness. It matters, but I don't care how well you know me. That's God and I working that out.
Not only that, that's the old me they might know.
Yeah.
They don't know the new me. They ain't been around me. And, of course, I'm not a show and tell person. So if you know me, you'll be lucky to see the humble side has came through. And you know, a lot of people are grateful for that. Even my family knows I've changed.
Yeah.
So, and that's a blessing because I didn't think they'd ever think I'd change.
Well, when we're blessed, I believe we're only blessed for one reason, and that's to be a blessing to others. Whether it's financial blessing, an emotional blessing, whether it's relational, physical, that it's meant to be shared with others. And you've shared that blessing here today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything you want to close with before we get ready to wrap this up, James?
This ain't the end of it. That's all I can say. I got one more puzzle piece in, and I'll be done. I got one more puzzle piece where I'll feel my wholeness. So I'm fighting on that.
All right. Well, as I understand, you're going to be back in Pennville soon. I'm 11 miles from you in Red Key, so make sure we're able to make a connection at times.
Yes, sir. I'm going to bring my other half to you.
I'll buy lunch. All right.
All
It's
right.
on me at the I Don't Care there in Pennville, okay?
All right, now.
All right. Be blessed. Thank you for your time, your willingness to share, your rawness. It's been a good thing. Look forward to seeing you again
Well, God
on
bless
the
you.
outside.
All right.
Amen.
You have a good one now.
You
Thank
bet. Stay in the battle.
you too.